Um, Hi everyone. Today we have a company introduction webinar with Undercover Rubber, and I should probably provide a little background on our collaboration with this company. First of all, the company is new, but the company management is our old friends, partners. So not so long ago, David, correct me if I'm wrong, you and your brother owned the Recycling Revolutions, one of the biggest recycling plants on the East Coast in the United States, right here in North Carolina. And so the company participated in the X-Culture competition. I think it was like 2 or 3 times in a row. We even visited your factory there or plant a few times. And then, am I correct, you sold that business and then started a new venture? Is that how it went? Did I get that right?
Actually, that was my brother who owned the company, and he sold that. It is still operating in a manufacturing facility that he and I and a third brother own and lease to the old company.
But yeah, we've had a longer relationship with the people, but now the new company is very special. And again, in full disclosure, I should say that the product this company makes is, in my opinion, very societally important, if I can put it this way. So it's not only a product that potentially could have a huge market potential, but it's also a product that can do some good. So it's, one of those cases where the company can do well by doing good. But at the same time, the product deals with I guess premarital sex, to be sure. And so some of our professors were a little concerned about the possible sort of image repercussions if we have a product like this in the X-Culture Challenge. And so we were planning to include Undercover Rubber as our partner in the X-Culture Challenge list last semester. But then a few professors said, well, it's a very sensitive topic. And so some of our participants are younger. Many of them come from countries that are very, very conservative in their values. How will they take it? On the other hand, others argued, well, we had companies, for example, that make wine or beer. And so not everyone, may support those kinds of products, but wine is a big part of, for example, Italian culture. And we had an Italian company that makes wine. We had a company from Britain and from Italy, from France that makes beer. Again, a big component of their culture. Why not? Additionally, as I said, it's a product that not only might be interesting as a business venture, but also sort of the story behind it is such that I guess the young people like yourselves, like X-Culture participants, might benefit from, at the very least, considering these issues and thinking about the reasons why a product like this exists. And so after much consideration and elaboration and discussions, we decided that, yes, we would like Undercover Rubber to be one of the clients in the X-Culture Challenge. And so here we are. And so I would like to turn the microphone to David Hagen and ask him to maybe do a quick introduction of the company, of the product, and perhaps also a little bit about the history and sort of reasons for creating the company, because it's not just a business, it's a little bit more than that. And then students, as you're watching us, feel free to ask your questions at any time. You can type them in the Q&A window, but also if you would like to engage in a sort of live conversation, feel free to raise your hand. And if time permits, we will allow you to join the presentation room and talk to you directly here. So David, please, a little bit more about your company, yourself, and the reasons to start in this venture.
Great. Thank you very much, Vaz, and welcome to all the students. I can't tell you how excited we are to have your concerted effort to help us on a product that is new and that we do think is something that's important for addressing lifestyles and sexual health of young adults around the globe. So my name's David Hagen. I'm born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina. So right here in the same town where Vaz is located with the University of North Carolina at Greensboro.
Yes.
I have my day job is as a commercial real estate broker. I've been doing that for 36 years now. And the two programs I'm actually going to tell you about um, have both sort of found their way to me. I wasn't looking for it. I'm married. I have two sons who are 18 and 19 now. So we are in the throes of dealing with these things with them as well. And, I'm still completely committed to my real estate career, but I'm really passionate about helping young people. And I started out really focused on young men, but the reality of it is all this stuff applies to young women as well. And when I was in college, which was quite a long time ago, I abused alcohol because I was afraid of failure and not living up to expectations. And I was so naive. I was convinced I was the only one that had issues. And I looked around at all the other guys and gals and thought, wow, if you were that smart, if you were that athletic, if you were that attractive, if your family had that sort of money, whatever, fill in the blank, then you'd have it made. And of course, particularly with men, the challenge is we don't know how to have an honest conversation and make ourselves vulnerable for fear of being judged and viewed as weak. And society gives men such a ridiculous stereotype of what it means to be a man. And, they say, if you don't ask for help or admit your mistakes, figure it out on your own. And my students tell me, what do you mean figure it out, David? I've never experienced this before. Society tells men, don't show your emotions or you're what? You're weak. No, you're not. You've got a heartbeat in there. And so I guess I had been in a Greek college fraternity while I was an undergrad. And I know that those are completely unique to the United States, but in any event, I was very involved, stayed involved as an alumnus. And in about 2010, I read an article that the second leading cause of death for college students, at least in the United States, is suicide. And I couldn't believe it, but it's true. And the leading cause is accidents, many of which include alcohol or drugs. And as I thought about it, my two sons, who at the time were probably 7 and 8, I thought, good gracious, the top two reasons one of my two precious sons might die in college are both self-inflicted. And that's just not acceptable. And it haunted me for about a year. And in 2011, my national fraternity asked me to be a volunteer regional vice president, which I hesitated to accept, but I did. And in any event, it turned out being one of the neatest things I've ever done. But when I got in and started dealing with, I had all 12 of our chapters across the state of North Carolina, about 600 undergraduate men. And when I started dealing with them, what I realized was, as afraid and scared as I was at your age, it's exponentially worse for your generation. And I think social media is one of the primary culprits. And one of the examples I use is, when I was growing up, we got holiday cards once a year. And what photograph was on that card? It was the best day of that family's year. And you see these beautiful families and designer clothes and, skiing in Zermatt, Switzerland. And you think, oh my gosh, why can't I be like that? And why is my family so dysfunctional? Every family out there is dysfunctional. And so anyway, I looked and I watched and I thought, there's got to be something that I can do to help these guys. And so in 2012, I started a company called Life Brothers, and Undercover Rubber is actually owned by Life Brothers, but nonetheless, Life Brothers is a life coaching program. And the goal is really to just enhance mental health and promote authentic relationships with guys, to make it where they're willing to make themselves vulnerable and have open and honest conversations. Because particularly in the fraternity world, every fraternity promises fraternal love, but they're not delivering it. And every fraternity promises that we're going to be your brother's keeper, but we're not doing that either. And so in any event, one of the keystones of that program was we created a 20-point promise with the help of about 100 undergraduate college men that takes every stigma off the table we've been given by society as men. So we can have any conversation without fear, shame, or hesitation. And it works, and it's phenomenal. And I've sat down, so I've given my Life Brothers PowerPoint presentation to over 10,000 people. And I've got over 2,000 hours of one-on-one coaching with young men, and it's amazing. But we sit down and we make that promise together. I go first and tell them some of the horrible things I did when I was your age. And yes, you don't transition from a 16 or 17-year-old into a 35-year-old adult without issues. And in any event, the young men would share everything imaginable to me. And whether it's them or a family member or a friend, and it was alcohol, drugs, death, divorce, disease, depression, suicide, a father that was never there for them, unintended pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, fears about their sexual orientation, addiction to pornography. And because of porn, almost every man out there struggles with anxiety over penis size and sexual performance because of the abnormal way that is presented in pornographic videos. So in any event, we created this program, and it really works, and it sets men free. And the reality of it is, and you women know this, but the men that I talk to have the most beautiful hearts you can imagine, that they yearn to share, and that society has tragically taught them as a men they're supposed to conceal. And I tell the guys, I said, I love each and every one of you, and I love you unconditionally. And damn near every one of them says it back immediately. And they sign their emails and text messages to me with expressions of love. And you know as well as I do, 17 to 24-year-old men do not do that. Almost every one of my guys does. But going back to those issues that these young men shared with me, oftentimes in tears, and I'd say, have you told your parents about this? Hell no, Dave, I can't tell my parents this stuff. What are you talking about? And I'd like, well, and then they would go on and say, as a matter of fact, you're the only person I've ever told. The only person I've ever told. And it's the most humbling experience of my life that they trust me and love me enough to invite me into their heart. And but going back to that list of issues, a lot of them were coming to me with unintended pregnancies and sexually transmitted infections. And I said, all right, you weren't using a condom, were you? And they went, nope. I said, why not? I didn't have one with me. Why not? Well, I'm embarrassed to be seen carrying them. And I thought, well, let's think about that for a minute. And I thought, how can I get sexually active men and women too to carry condoms with them all the time? Because you cannot use a condom unless you have one with you. And I thought, well, David, you need to integrate it in something you're already carrying in your pocket, because I feel like I've got saddlebags. I don't want to put anything else in there. So what are the three things most men, and probably women too, carry in their pants pockets? You know, number one is a set of car keys. That's not big enough to integrate with a condom. Number two is a cell phone, right? Everybody's got one of these. They actually make an OtterBox that will hold one condom, but I think you ought to have two, because every man out there lasts longer the second time than he does the first. So let's relax and settle down and enjoy ourselves as long as we're going to be having sex. And then the third thing is a wallet or a billfold. And I thought, well, if you take a dollar bill and put it on a tabletop, two condoms will fit perfectly on top of that dollar bill. And I said, Eureka. All I have to do is make a fabric sleeve that's about the same size as the dollar bill. And the properties that the fabric sleeve needs to have are as follows. It needs to be waterproof, because people have said, well, what if I carry a condom in my wallet and the foil wrapper leaks and the lubricant leaks out, it's going to ruin my wallet. So it has to be waterproof. It has to be thin and supple, because it needs to fold when it's in the wallet. It needs to be rugged and durable. And so and it also needs to prevent the bullseye ring from showing through your wallet. And part of that is because you're sitting on it.
Can you explain that? Because I'm not sure if all students understand the expression. So bullseye ring.
Well, yeah, a condom, and we'll pull one out of here. A condom is a circular item. And if you put that in a wallet by itself and you sit on it, that bullseye, that circular ring is going to show through the leather of that wallet. And so the point is, you need to have something to prevent that from happening. And our fabric does that. But the reality of it is, if the primary reason that's going to occur, and it can put almost a permanent indentation in leather. The primary reason that's going to occur is because you're sitting on your wallet. And that's a bad idea, because what happens is, if you're sitting on your wallet, it lifts one butt cheek higher than the other, and it puts your spine out of alignment. Doctors will tell you it's horrible for your back. So carry your wallet in your front pants pocket if you're going to carry a wallet like that. And so what we actually did, our first fabric was made out of vinyl, and I actually got a patent on it. And everybody told me I was crazy. I'd never get that. But the reality of it was, the vinyl was too thick. It was too rigid, too stiff. It was really a poor quality fabric. And the construction was a poor quality, and we didn't like it. So we threw it in the trash and we started over. And I actually found a fraternity brother in High Point that has cut and sew operations for textile goods here in North Carolina, here in central North Carolina where I live. And we looked at it, and we looked at a lot of different fabrics as options. We looked at leather. We immediately eliminated that because, first of all, why are we going to promote killing a bunch of animals? It's not sustainable. And also, if you think about a hide, it's an irregular shape item. So it's got, once you open up the hide, it's got the legs and those sorts of things. And after you cut it out, there's a heck of a lot of lost material that you can't use. So we didn't like it for multiple reasons. We actually looked at a substitute fabricated type leather. It's called pleather. Pleather. And so it's a man-made fabric, but that was too thick. And we looked at some other things, but what we ended up with was Cordura high denier nylon. And we actually had a naming contest to come up with the name of the product. And I told a bunch of young men, it needs to be cute, funny, roll off your tongue. It cannot be gross or vulgar. It needs to be something you can share with your grandmother. And she'd chuckle. And of course, we came up with Undercover Rubber. And then our ad agency, who was 5 or 7 of the coolest women you ever met, I said, come up with a logo. And they came up with our logo, which you have seen, our little penis man who's got a condom for a hat and a trench coat on. And his name is Discreet Pete. And we've had a lot of fun with him. But once we came up with that image of sort of a little secret agent man, when we started naming the products, we came up with secret agent names. So this is one of the condom holders. Can you? I think
yes.
I've got it.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah,
the condoms on this one load on the end, and this one is referred to as Sherlock Holmes. Okay, y'all all heard of him.
So do they then slide inside? How does it work? So,
yeah, they just go inside, so they completely disappear. I just
and then you fold it and just put it in the wallet, right?
Yeah, and then it goes in your wallet and it folds just like the wallet folds.
Mm-hmm.
About the same size of the dollar bill. The second style, which actually loads on the top, get that a little closer, and the name of this one is Dick for Tracy, and these two go right in. And there's actually a Velcro closure at the top that keeps them from falling out. And then we started thinking, we said, well, some people have a wallet that folds more than once, or they just carry a little money clip. And neither one of these dollar bill size units will work. So we came up with a freestanding model, and this is called Inspect Your Gadget. And so it has in the front exposed pocket, little slit, room for a credit card, an ID, or whatever. And then in the back, it has a Velcro pouch that holds 2 condoms that just slide in, and it has a Velcro closure as well. And this just goes right in your pocket, front pants pocket. And then I showed you, we have some accessory products. I mentioned this. This is a koozie, which has our logo with Undercover Rubber on the front. On the back, it has our little tagline, Essential Hardware, which we've trademarked all of our logos and names and images and things of that nature. The bottom is really cute and fun. It says a hard man is good to find.
So again, for those outside the United States, if you don't know what this product is, it's basically a cup holder. So it's a insulation cup holder. So if you drink a cold drink or a hot drink, you just put your cup inside and it doesn't burn your hand. Extremely popular in the United States. I haven't really seen it much elsewhere, but yeah, very, very popular here.
And we have t-shirts. And then we also have a sheet of stickers with a lot of fun little sayings and things. And part of the reason that we use humor, this is a serious product. According to the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, STIs in the United States are at an all-time high. And I talked to so many young men in college, and they're not using condoms because the women are on birth control, or if they're having sex with another man, they don't care. And it's really cavalier. And I tell you, a sexually transmitted infection or an unintended pregnancy can absolutely torpedo your life. And you think about all the time and money and love and concern that has been put into getting you where you are in your life, and you can throw it away with a poor choice. And so that's why we talk a lot about owning your choices in our Life Brothers program, or your habits and choices taking you where you want to go. So anyway, so we have t-shirts and that sort of stuff too. And I guess with respect to the company, we really don't have any sales history to speak of for UnderCover Rubber. When we first, we rolled out the vinyl product in December of 2019. We offered those for free, just as a beta test. And you only had to pay for the shipping. And we gave tons of those things away. And then when we redesigned it, probably in the summer, early fall of 2020, then in December of 20, so a year ago, we relaunched the new product using the Cordura high density or nylon, again as a beta test, free of charge, with the hope of getting a lot of feedback on how can we make these better. The only design change that we're contemplating right now is we will probably add Velcro to this Sherlock Holmes model that opens on the end. But anyway, so I think the primary thing we're looking to you guys to do is to help us analyze who our competition is and what the appropriate price point is, and what are the things that we're going to ask you to do some surveys with some of your peers and whatnot, and we're working on those questions for you, Vaz, by the way.
Yep.
But what do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? Is it a product that you're going to use? And when we were lucky, the UNCG has the Brown School of Business, and they had an MBA team that took on UnderCover Rubber in the fall as their capstone project. And we have given to Vaz, which he's disseminated, some of the recommendations, which we are in the process of implementing. Frankly, one of the challenges that we're finding is they suggested that we go green as much as we could. It is really, really hard to find green products, much less. And with the supply chain disruption, the availability, oftentimes we're hearing 6 and 8 month delivery times, and then the cost is more. So we've given you some of our cost estimates of sort of where we were, where we think we are now. And we'll give you as much data and information as you want to really do a deep dive and help us evaluate. Do we have a viable product? I think that's the biggest question. And what are the marketing methods and marketing channels that we can and should be using? Because it's a product that surely it should have global interest.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for sex, none of us would be here. But
some societies talk less about it, but the truth is that it happens everywhere. So it's, like it or not, we can pretend that it doesn't happen, but it does. And so if you do it, you better do it safely.
Absolutely. So I think that's sort of my intro, but I'm happy to, if you have something you think.
Yeah, we have quite a few questions, and I see some students started raising their hands as well. So, still a few questions that we would like to ask first to better understand the product. So you didn't say anything about competition, and you asked about it. And so, to be honest, when we started talking about the product with you, must have been last year or sometime. I first didn't even understand what the product is. It's so new. I've never seen or heard anything like this. And so I did a quick Google search. I don't really see anything like that anywhere. So are there any other companies that make condom holders for discreet carrying them around, or are you the only one in the world? Is there anything like that?
There are a number of other products that we've identified out there. I don't think any of them is quite like what we have come up with. For instance, I've seen circular metal tins, and sometimes the company that provides those even sells condoms that are that have a circular foil wrapper as opposed to the traditional square, so they fit down in that tin. I've seen some ladies items that are more akin to a fabric type purse, that have a flowery type, feminine type decor on them. So, there are a number of other products out there, but I don't think any of them is quite the way we've designed ours. So again, the first two ones that are the size of a dollar bill are designed to integrate with a traditional single fold, or hang on, my wallet that goes in your breast pocket. The condom holder will fit right down in here inside really nicely. And some people have asked, well, why don't you make a wallet? And I said, well, the challenge is, if you think about it, whether it's a man or a woman, the wallet or purse that you carry is a really personal selection. And there is such a vast array of options out there, which is why, again, we'll find something that's the size of a dollar bill. Most every billfold is designed to hold a dollar bill. Go imagine that. Now, I guess, the good news is, we think about our international students, most other currency that I've seen, and I've traveled around a fair bit, the size of the bills are actually larger.
That's true.
Than the US dollar.
Yeah, I just came back from Europe, and I had the problem that my American-sized wallet was too narrow for the European bills, euros, and Ukrainian currency. So part of it was always sticking out. So they tend to be larger.
So I think, the good news is that since ours is the size of a US dollar bill, if your wallet will carry a currency other than US, my holder will probably fit in your wallet.
So some of the slogans and product names that you use are both cute, maybe a little bit racy even, and they definitely grab attention. So is that, did you come up with those names? Did you have some sort of a crowdsourcing approach to it, or was it a marketing agency? I mean, who comes up with those interesting attention-catching names, for a lack of a better word?
We have a great marketing agency right here in Greensboro, Bolton Creative, which was that group of 5 or 7 women that have done such a great job. And they came up with the Discreet Pete logo and that sort of stuff. And they've come up with a lot of them. I've come up with a couple. Students have suggested things. And so one of the things the UNCG MBA team suggested was, and if you go look at our website right now, we're in the process of updating, but it hasn't happened yet. So if you look at it now, you'll see a little bit more of those humorous slogans and things. And the MBA team suggested, you really got a serious product, and you might want to have the initial homepage be something that's a little more serious oriented, so no one misinterprets your goal. The reason we made it humorous is there's probably no subject out there that's more difficult than sex. And so if we can use humor to break the ice, then we can start the conversation about why you should use a condom. And then even more importantly, we have a document that goes with the toolkits, and it's called our Condom Selection and Use Guide. And it's a 7-page document that tells you everything you ever wanted to know about condoms. And we include a tape measure to help guys measure themselves. Every guy out there is measured his length, but the most important thing for condom fit is the girth or circumference. If it's too tight, it's going to increase the chance of breakage, and it's uncomfortable for the man. If it's too loose, it's going to slip off. But anyway, so we felt like, and particularly on the products like the koozie and the t-shirts, it's got to be cute and funny to grab people's attention. And our primary demographic is really going to be, call it age 16 to 26, maybe something like that. Sexually active young men and women who, are going to find I think we'll find that approach engaging and humorous.
It seems to me that humorous approach here is preferred because it is a difficult topic. And I guess making it a little bit more fun probably will allow it to break that ice and start the conversation. There was a question about the production method and place. So I know now with the disruption channels, supply channels, I'm not even sure how the production would work. But so is the plan to make these products in the United States? Would it be outsourced to a different country? Are you trying to make it yourself or find another third-party manufacturer? How would it be handled in terms of the manufacturing?
Well, right now, and the way we've done something historically for the last 2 years is we really tried to reduce our carbon footprint. So we've used local vendors. Our ad agency is here. We have a fulfillment center. And by the way, our ad agency is woman owned. Our fulfillment center is woman owned. It's one of the largest women owned businesses in the state. And it's right here in Greensboro, and they do a great job for us. Our manufacturing facilities are here. That's outsourced, but it's done in either High Point or Greensboro. I mean, within 20 miles of where our fulfillment center is. And so the fabric is manufactured in the United States and it's cut and sewn locally. But when you start looking at our cost point, the cost of the nylon condom holder in the last, well, I should be more like 16 or 18 months has gone up 13%. And so ultimately, I think we may want and need to try to find a foreign manufacturing opportunities where we can do it at a lower cost. The nice thing about having it done locally is we can do short production runs while we're sort of in this testing phase of a minimum of 200 units per SKU. And we can get that with about a 3 to 4 week lead time.
Yeah. It seems to me the big advantage of outsourcing the production might be also that you will be able to focus all your energy on promotion and marketing. And so you don't have to worry about the production, which could be quite consuming. And then also if you're aiming, if you're planning to expand globally, again, maybe production in other parts of the planet, of the world would be just simply closer to the consumer. So it might be also saving them.
Yeah, and it might be we have multiple facilities that we would use in 3 or 4 different countries.
Exactly. Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit more about the target population or market segment. So clearly the end users would be the young men, possibly young women, but who would be the decision makers who make the purchasing decisions? Would it be the end users always? Do you envision that it could be also, I don't know, parents or maybe friends giving gifts to friends, partly as a joke, partly because it is a useful product? I don't know, maybe universities buying them for distribution on campus, maybe schools. I don't know, what population are you aiming at, and which segments do you sort of consider and perhaps do not exclude from becoming the future customers or buyers?
Well, frankly, Vaz, I think it's all the above is the answer. So in some of our limited conversations with college students, so our current toolkit, which comes with 5 condoms, and we're going to reduce it to 3, and it comes in a box that takes time to assemble that costs more than an envelope, but whatever, we're going to get the cost down. But our current toolkits are we're selling at $25, and that includes free shipping, which costs about $5, so call it 20 net. But I've had students telling me, David, when I was in college, or if I'm in college, I'm not going to spend $20 or $25 on that. I'm saving that for beer. And so I think, but then I've also had students say, wow, I didn't even know that a product like this was out there, sort of to your point, Voss, and I didn't really know that I needed it, but wow, it's great. I have this thing and I carry it all the time. So, so there's a little bit of a disconnect, which oftentimes happens with the younger consumer anyway. So yes, I think you're right. I think the end user is the 16 to 26-year-old man or woman who either is sexually active or would like to be. And then, but the buyer, that it might be that group, whether they're buying it for themselves or as a gift. We've had people buy them as gifts and give them to people. It could very well be their parents. So I think we definitely need to target them. But then I also think there's a large potential market for wholesale sales to, as you pointed out, the student health centers. Most university student health centers are already giving away free condoms. Why not give away the holder so that you can carry them discreetly? And also our condom selection and use guide that gives you wonderful information on how to find the right size fit and how to use it. And I think one of the challenges is particularly for younger people that go to a man that goes to the drugstore or the grocery store to buy condoms. I mean, there's a wall with 50 options. Most of them are embarrassed to be seen buying them, and they're just going to grab something and run out the door. Well, if that thing doesn't fit properly, they're just going to throw it in the trash and they're not going to use one. And it's too expensive to try everything on the wall, which is why we give multiple condom samples in different sizes, shapes, and brands. So student health centers is an option. I'm also talking to a foundation here in Greensboro that is involved with early childhood development. And I didn't realize this, but about 82% of the brain's capacity develops between ages 1 and 3. And where we have unwed teen mothers giving birth and fathers that are disappearing, and the mothers are in a low income situation with limited education themselves, and they have no idea how to care for a baby. We are putting children in a system that are not prepared for learning. And so in addition to helping those children succeed, it's really important that we try to promote contraception to avoid unintended births to begin with. And so this foundation is looking at going to the Duke Endowment and asking them to purchase condom holders from us that they can then turn around and give away for free in low-income neighborhoods. So I think all of those are options.
It just occurred to me that another possible distribution channel might be all those companies that make company branded promotion materials and memorabilia. So they always are looking for products that people sort of carry with them all the time, so that every time they use it, they see the logo of the company. And so usually it would be like t-shirts or coffee mugs or stuff like that. But it seems to me a condom holder would be an interesting item, to use as a promotion item, because again, it would be something that people always have with them. They look at it often, so they would see the company logo. I'm not sure if you would be open to sort of sell it through companies like that, but it seems to me like it would be an interesting and fun gift, I don't know, at conferences, conventions, business meetings, or whatever else it might be. So maybe something to consider.
No, that's a great idea. And we've got, some companies here that do those customized business gift ideas that we could talk to and say, hey, do you want to have some of these
for a student orientation, for example? I remember they would always give you a bag, and there would be like a notebook there. Maybe there would be like a pen and things like that. But those are the items that you usually throw away a day or two later. And so the company doesn't sort of reach its goal of reminding me about, like, for example, student health services. So, but if they distributed condom holders with like UNCG student health services, I guess that's something that students might be using for a long time and always remember who gave it to them, and maybe even have the contacts right there in case they need to call them. So perhaps just an idea. Distribution channels. So I know it's a new product, and I know you haven't really tested many ways to distribute the product, but in terms of the plans, I'm sure you have discussed, you had strategic meetings. So is the plan to sell it directly through your website? Are you considering maybe listing it on Amazon or other marketplaces, online marketplaces? Have you thought about working with like big retailers like Walmart or Target or Costco? I don't know what other channels might be here. So what is your thinking at this time? I'm sure it will evolve over time, but what's the plan now?
Well, I think we're sort of trying to ease into it, and obviously getting the benefit of all these students' collective work is going to be phenomenal. We did recently try to do a digital ad campaign with Facebook and Instagram using our current website and materials. And we were turned down because they said they did not like the sexual content on the website, which I frankly found offensive because in my view, Facebook is an unethical company that has done a lot of terrible stuff. And it felt pretty sleazy to be held in judgment by them. But nonetheless, they have the corner of the market. So that was another reason that we felt, well, if we redesign the website and make certain that they understand this is not something frivolous. I mean, we're not selling sex novelties. We're selling a valuable product to help protect the sexual health and emotional health of young people. So so that's certainly, I think, probably the widest distribution. Some sort of digital marketing campaign certainly makes sense as the next step. I mean, to go to a major retailer like Walmart or something like that, I mean, we would need a financial partner to be able to produce the volume of material that they would need to be able to put on the shelves in a store of that magnitude. Now, maybe there's, you know, maybe there's a local store that we could go to as a test thing and see if they would do that. But that's my initial reaction.
It seems to me Amazon does allow small quantities, and they do sell obviously condoms and lubricants and whatnot. So it seems to me a condom holder wouldn't be something that is, too sensitive for their offerings. So,
Yeah.
but again, I'm not sure if that would be the best channel. So that's where it may be distributed, but I'm not sure if you can advertise there directly. So that potentially could be a challenge. So.
These are great questions for you students.
Yes, for the students, exactly. And I'm trying to get your sort of current thinking on the issues. My hope is that once the students have done their research, they will bring some well-articulated and supported ideas. And so your reaction will be, oh, that really makes sense. Let's try it. But at least at this time, we want to know what you have already tried and, you know, what worked, what didn't, perhaps. Like, for example, going back to pricing. So at this time, it's a fixed price per product, right? So it's not a subscription. It's not a bulk discount. It's not buy one, get one free, just simply a price, including shipping, and bought directly from your website. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we currently just have the 3 different styles of condom holders. They're all priced the same. And again, they come with 5 condoms. They come with the condom selection and use guide. They come with a paper tape measure that's a separate tape. And we're going to integrate that into a little tent card with directions in the next iteration. But what we're thinking about for the next iteration is also offering you the opportunity to buy either just the toolkit, which would have the condom holder, the tent card with an integrated tape measure, and some stickers, basically. That would be one item. And the second would be all of those things plus the 3 condoms. So if you are an individual who is experienced in sex and you found a condom that fits properly and you don't want the sample condoms, you don't have to buy those. And if you are a parent who is trying to provide a gift to a teenage child, or if you're a young man who is inexperienced and would like help finding a condom that fits properly, then you would get the deluxe model that has the 3 condoms in it. And it's slightly, it will be priced slightly more than the one that doesn't have the condoms. But I think there should be an audience out there that would want those.
One more sort of aspect that students probably should focus on, and that is the international component of the challenge. So I assume in the United States, both the topic, it's still sensitive, but I assume you know how to talk about it in this culture. Likewise, you have a marketing agency, you live here, so you know how to present a product like this. Now, the students, you are all around the planet. I think we expect something like 70 countries represented in the project this time. And so I think where you could be really helpful is if you sort of described the culture and the sort of the best approach in your country. Or whatever country you will choose as the destination, as a potential new market. And so by being there, by knowing the culture, by being able to conduct your own data collection, I think first you will be able to better describe it. But second, that's the task that would be very difficult to do from the United States. I assume the most advanced, the most experienced marketing agency in the United States may still not quite know how to present a product like this, for example, in Turkey or in Ukraine or in Japan. So that's where you students being right there on the ground, being locals, knowing the language, knowing the customs, that's where you could be very, very helpful. And so one of the aspects of the task is, and I'm not sure, David, if you would like to elaborate on that, but yes, we do encourage the students to maybe conduct your own sort of market research, maybe talk to some of your friends and ask them if they know of a product like this, would they use it? If not, why not? If yes, how would they choose it? maybe, what would be the acceptable price point, how they would like it to be presented or distributed. Likewise, I don't know, there may be no harm in trying to talk to maybe to the local retailers, go to a store that sells condoms, it could be whatever the store it might be, either a specialized one or maybe a generic grocery store, and maybe ask the store manager, would you add a product like this on your shelves? Why or why not? How would you select it? How would you want to go about it? I think this way, not only you will inform yourself more about what the market sort of, how the market might react to a product like this, but also that would be the type of information that would be very valuable to the company that is here in the United States and may not know all those intricacies of, how these things are done internationally. I'm not sure, David, if you want to comment on this international aspect of your product.
No, I think you made some great points, and in the whole cultural differences, I think is extremely important. And to the extent that I think you're asking a retailer, a local retailer, if this is a product they'd like to add on their shelves, of course, the great thing is it's a small product and it doesn't take up much shelf space, and shelf space volume is key to any retailer because they can only hold so many different items.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great idea and worth asking the question.
Yeah. So at the very least, as I said, you will inform yourselves or prepare yourselves better for answering these questions, because again, we can have all kinds of ideas, but as they say, no battle plan survives the contact with the enemy, right? So you may have a great idea, but until you talk to potential consumers or distributors, you will not really know if the way you see it is the way, potential consumers or distributors see it. So we are almost out of time. So I have another meeting in 10 minutes. So students, if you have any questions, now is a good time to ask them. I will answer a quick question here, not related to the product, but rather related to the project itself. And so Shreya is asking, if my teams are not responding, what do I need to do now? Well, the teams were formed just yesterday, so we only have had one day. And so if some of your team members have not replied to your emails yet, not to worry. It's been only a day. Time zone differences slow things down. Some people may have not been able to respond right away. So at this time, no worry at all. However, if in a week or so, there are team members that you haven't heard from, do let us know about that. And so we'll definitely reach out to them to see what's going on. And if they're not responding, maybe we will either drop them from the project and replace them with somebody else, or at the very least, we'll see how we can help to make sure that everything works. So good question, but I think it's a little too early to worry about that. Now, we have quite a few people here. I see we have 72 participants, but we don't really have 74. But we don't really have many questions. And I wonder what it means. Like normally, no questions, that's either everything's clear, there is really nothing to ask, or it's so confusing, I have no idea how to go about it, or the topic is so sensitive that everybody is sort of, yeah, I want to ask a question, but I'm not sure how. So if you would like to ask one, now is the time. We will probably try to have another webinar a couple of weeks or a few weeks from now, so closer to the end of the project when you will have worked on it, maybe conducted your research, maybe bounced some ideas, and you would like to get some feedback or maybe share some of your ideas and get the suggestions. So you'll have other opportunities to ask questions. You can always send them by email. But again, I wouldn't miss this opportunity and ask them now. And I think this is the very first time that we don't really have many questions. Normally there are more questions that I can handle, and here all of a sudden is, yes, and somebody is saying the topic is sensitive. I'm still analyzing my thoughts and the information given. So from Natasha.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, thank you for that comment. That's real world stuff.
Yeah. Well, as I said, we were a little hesitant, but yes, you may like or not like young people sex, premarital sex, but it is happening. And I assume most students, or at least in the United States, it seems to me most students engage in it at some point. And so if you do it, you better do it right. And so it would be potentially devastating that if you don't do it right, if you don't use protection. So we mentioned sexually transmitted infections, unwanted pregnancies. And so it would be quite a disappointment if the protection was not used merely for the reason that it was not available and the person was just sort of embarrassed to carry it openly with him or her. So it seems to me that we are here not trying to help a young business, but also trying to make the world a little bit, I guess, a safer place, or more, I don't even know how to describe it, but a better place, let's call it this way. Anyway, so it seems like students are very hesitant to ask questions, even though we have quite a few of them. So let's stop at this. Students, you can always ask your questions by email. Our wonderful Julia on is here, so my executive assistant and the administrator for the project. So she will be compiling your questions and answers. And David, we are cognizant and respectful of your time. We know you're extremely busy. And so what we do normally, if it's a new question that we cannot answer, then we will reach out to you to get the answer. Most questions will be repetitive. And so once Julia have heard your answer once, either in the webinar here, or maybe you answered it before by email, she will simply copy and paste that answer. So we don't need to bother you each time a new question comes in. So we have several thank you notes here. Thank you everyone for your attention. And let's hope you will bring many interesting ideas to this product. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
We really appreciate your help. Thank you, Vaz.
Have a good day, and yes, talk to you soon. Yes, thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.